And we're back, and we're going to switch modes to nutrition, healthcare, and in particular cancer. In 2008, my PSA, prostate-specific antigen, on a routine blood test was over 5. I was sent to a urologist. I was going to the Navy or the Air Force Base at Nellis at the time. They sent me to my urologist, who I still have, and after a couple minor tests, including a finger wave, he said, I think we got a problem. I'm going to do a biopsy. They did the biopsy. It came back as cancer. As with everybody, your heart drops. You start thinking of death. You start preparing wills and all the rest. Fortunately, I was educated enough in healthcare in general to know chemo, radiation, and even surgery were probably not going to be my options. But I wanted to do more research. They were pushing me to choose one of those. Amongst that push, they said, here, take a shot of this thing called Lupron, which kind of castrates you medically or chemically for 3 months or so. But that's supposed to slow down the prostate. Well, what it did was trigger my heart problems. And I had 2 open heart surgeries, et cetera. The Lupron drug wore off. Eventually, my heart stabilized. But I absolutely was not going back to any oncologist or urologist. Last time I saw my urologist was 2011. What I started doing was looking at a bunch of DVDs, VCRs, and reading books. And Noah, can we show the list? Now, this list in front of you is from my home library. That's nothing I pulled off the internet. Those are the ones, the DVDs and VCRs I've actually watched. And I'm going to show a couple clips tonight from the ones at the bottom. It's called Truth About Cancer, and it's by Dr. Lorraine Day. Now, she was a orthopedic surgeon for 17 years. She developed a lump on her breast, which turned out to be breast cancer. She got to the absolutely stage 4 critical point. She refused chemo, radiation, or surgery because she had seen what they do to people. So Noah, are we ready to play that first clip by Dr. Day?
So you've just been diagnosed with cancer, and you're appropriately worried, anxious, scared, even terrified. Or maybe you've just found a lump that you think may be cancer. You don't know which way to turn. You can't think. Your brain is almost paralyzed. Your doctor is pressuring you to have surgery or chemotherapy or radiation right away. Your family is worried and upset, and they're pressuring you too. And your friends are giving their advice. Everyone's telling you what to do, but you're numb. It almost doesn't seem real. You're wondering, how could this be happening to you? Well, I know exactly how you feel. I've been right there myself. I'm not only a doctor, but I was a patient with cancer, severe advanced cancer. At one point, I was sent home to die. But I'm here to tell you that cancer doesn't scare me anymore. I had it and got well without chemotherapy, without radiation, and without mutilating surgery. I got well by rebuilding my immune system by totally natural methods. When you've just been diagnosed with cancer, the fear can paralyze you so you can hardly think straight. But in this video, I'm going to show you that you don't have to fear cancer like everyone else does. You can learn about the factors that cause cancer and understand that you can take control of your health and get well. I'm going to lead you through the problems and questions that arise from the beginning when you first get your diagnosis or when you're just suspecting that something is very wrong with your health. And I'll show you how you can understand the steps you need to take to keep from damaging your body even more and instead get well.
Okay, I left off with my story back in 2008, real early. About mid-year, I was elevated PSA in my blood test, and I was told I had cancer. I took the Lupron, they triggered the heart attacks, I had open heart surgeries, etc. But the whole time I was reading about these different alternative treatments, nutrition, different approaches to solving this problem of cancer. And what I found was the same problem of cancer absolutely was going to help tremendously the problem I had with my heart and every other disease. Dr. Day and all the other doctors, there must be hundreds of doctors on those videos I showed, they all agree that the answer to our health is by bolstering our immune system. Chemo, radiation, etc., as you'll hear from Dr. Day, destroys your immune system. And it doesn't cure the cancer. It may kill some of the cancer, but it's not going to cure it. 3 months ago, I was pulling weeds, and I've got a tremendous pain in my prostate. I thought, sure, that was it, because once it expands outside your prostate, metastasizes, normally you're a dead duck. So I prepared myself mentally. I saw my urologist, and over a 2-month period, I underwent a whole bunch of tests. PSA, full body bone scan, and several other tests. Again, expecting him to say, you've got 6 to 9 months. My approach would have been to increase the diet and the supplements I was taking, had he told me that. After doing the elaborate testing he did, he called me in the office and said, you're the luckiest guy I've ever seen. He says, I know of no one who was detected when you were with the cancer you had and has survived this long. He said, you're eligible for a case study. So I'm already way past my expiration date. Noah, let's play that thing about chemo.
Now, let's talk about conventional treatment for cancer. That's the treatment your doctor will advise you to have. In our medical training, we doctors, all of us, are taught only 3 ways to treat cancer: chemotherapy, radiation, and surgery. Let me tell you right up front, your doctor wants you to get well. He or she is trying their best to get you well, but they don't know how to do it because they've never learned, they've never been taught. All we doctors are ever taught in our training is to try to poison out the cancer with chemotherapy, burn out the cancer with radiation, or cut out the cancer with surgery, often mutilating surgery. But you see, these methods of treatment never cure cancer. Oh yes, there are some people who survive cancer after those treatments, but that's in spite of the treatment, not because of it. At first, the chemotherapy seems to work. The tumor gets smaller, and your tumor marker blood test results may go down. But just because something seems to work, at least temporarily, does not mean it's good, or it's right, or that it will make you well. Street drugs make you feel good at first. They make you feel creative and uninhibited and euphoric. But later you pay a terrible price. It's the same with chemotherapy and radiation. You often end up paying with your life. Here's why conventional treatments never cure cancer. The only way you can really cure cancer or any other disease is to understand what causes it. When you find out the cause of any specific disease, you immediately know the cure for it. The cure lies in reversing the factors that cause the disease. But doctors admit they don't know what causes cancer, so how can they ever hope to cure it? But the causes of cancer are known. These 10 steps, these 10 natural health laws that I gave you, I found them all in the medical literature when I was searching for the way to get well. I was astonished, of course, to learn that they were all there. Yet no one ever told me about them during my medical training, and I never taught the doctors I trained because I didn't know. Why aren't we taught these things? Well, the pharmaceutical companies provide huge sums of money for medical research to find more drugs to treat disease. They're not going to provide funding to research the effect of fresh air and proper sleep on cancer or any other disease. They need a financial return on their research dollar. They need another drug to sell. Fresh air and sunlight and sleep are free. They can't be patented. They can't be sold for profit. This is just one of many examples I could give you. Follow the money. When pharmaceutical companies provide large research grants, millions and millions of dollars to medical schools, they have a lot of clout and directly or indirectly control much of what's taught to doctors in training. In medical textbooks, the cause of disease is termed the etiology. Etiology, that's just a fancy way of saying cause. Well, that designation, which years ago used to be listed under each category of disease in the textbooks, has been almost completely removed. The medical textbooks don't even discuss the etiology of cancer or most other diseases now because the medical establishment admits they don't know the cause. But treating cancer with chemotherapy or radiation or surgery really doesn't make any sense, and here's why. Because cancer is not caused by a deficiency of chemotherapy, nor a deficiency of radiation. In fact, both chemotherapy and radiation actually cause cancer. Some people react to this statement with astonishment and horror, and sometimes they get angry with me. They say, "My doctor wouldn't give me chemotherapy or radiation for my cancer if these treatments cause cancer." Well, the answer is yes, he would, or yes, she would, because that's all they know how to do. In addition, if they don't prescribe those treatments, they're likely to be severely disciplined by their hospital or other medical governing organizations, and they may even lose their license to practice.
Okay, that's a brief glimpse of Dr. Day's. Now keep in mind, she's a doctor. And every one of the other doctors on all those DVDs I showed said the same thing. Radiation, chemo, surgery is not going to cure cancer, and medications in general are not going to cure any disease. It's your immune system. What can we do to bolster our immune system? In the next segment, we're going to talk about that, and I'm going to explain Dr. Day's approach.